Hello, class 10. This is Chonmali ma'am back again with your next topic. So, today, what we would be doing is from your book First Flight, a poem named Dust of Snow, written by Robert Frost. So, Robert Frost was an American poet who was born on 26th March 1874 and he died on January 29th, 1963. This poet of the 20th century had received 4 Pulitzer Prize for his poetry. He has also received Congressional Gold Medal in the year 1960 for his commendable poetical works, and he has been nominated 31 times for Nobel Prize in Literature. Now let's look at this poem that we have in front of us, Dust of Snow. Look at the language. It's written in such simplistic words. But after we finish reading this poem, you would understand that there is so many underlining important themes in this poem that the poet had wanted to highlight. I would read out the poem for you. Dust of Snow, written by Robert Frost. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. A wonderful poem it is, right? Written in only 8 lines, consisting of only 2 paragraphs. A very simple poem, using very simple verse. And yet, there's so many things to discuss in this poem, and that we would do today. Now, first and foremost, let's come to the background of the poem. If you look at the title of the poem, Dust of Snow, that the incident narrated in the poem takes place in a landscape that is filled with snow, that it has a tree, that it has a bird, and it has a traveler. So let us assume that our traveler is the poet himself who was passing beneath the tree. But that does not completely help us to understand the poem, right? So let's move on to the background. So, reading the second paragraph of the poem, what we understand of it is that our speaker or our poet was probably having a very bad day, was completely stressed out, and therefore had decided to take a small walk, a short trip. And as he was walking and thinking as to what and how a situation had gone out of his hand, something had happened. And what has happened exactly is what he narrates to us. So the first paragraph of the poem talks about the incident that had happened. And the second paragraph, it talks about the change that the incident has brought in him. Now, coming to the synopsis of the chapter, look at the poem carefully. Look at the title of the poem, Dust of Snow. Now, what does the word dust mean, right? Dust are very small particles. So we can understand that this poem has got to do something with snow, with particles of snow. Now, what did this particle of snow do exactly in the poem? What role did it have to play? So, like the poem says, the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. So, here the way is the manner. The manner in which a crow shook down. What did the crow shook down? It shook down the dust of snow. Look at the third line, the dust of snow. Here, the dust of snow has been personalized. It has been given a certain importance, and therefore the article the has been used. And this dust of snow has a very, very important role to play. Now, where was the crow? It's given in the next line that it was on a hemlock tree because the crow shook down a dust of snow from a hemlock tree. So we can assume that the crow was seated on a hemlock tree. And like we have already discussed previously, the background of the poem, that the poet was passing from beneath the tree. Now, what happens exactly when this snow falls on him, this dust of snow falls on him? That he narrates in the second paragraph of the poem. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So the poet in just 4 lines explains to us about his mood that he was in and about the change that his mood had undergone. So he says that in his his heart had a change of mood. He was sad because of something that had happened. He was in a very melancholic mood. But the minute the dust of snow fell on him, he instantly forgot all his worries, he forgot all his pain. And suddenly he was lit up. Something was there that overwhelmed him. Something was there that changed his mood from suffering, from being sad, to being joyous, to being happy. And that is why the poet says that his heart, that was very heavy, that was in pain because of a certain incident, that moment, it suddenly got changed. And the remaining part of his day was changed. This small incident of shaking of the snow from a tree and the falling of the snow on top of the poet, on top of the speaker, helped him to save some part of the day that was supposed to be ruined. What is the meaning of the word rued? R-U-E-D. Rued. So the word rued means ruined. R-U-I-N-E-D, ruined. So probably, like it happens with everyone, when a certain bad incident happens to us, we keep worrying about it throughout the day. Similarly, the poet says that one incident that has happened with him in the morning, he was constantly thinking about it, and probably that would have ruined the remaining part of the day. But with one small incident of the falling of the snow, everything changed. All the negativity that he had changed into something so optimistic. Now, what causes this optimism? Look at the 2 words that I have underlined: crow and hemlock tree. Now, when we look at a crow, there are so many things that goes in our mind, right? It's a black bird, and we always symbolize crow with some negativity. Same goes for a hemlock tree. A hemlock tree is a very poisonous tree. It too represents some mishappening, something sad. It represents sadness, something very gloomy. It represents dark times. But the action of these 2 elements, the crow and the hemlock tree, these 2 elements helped to change the mood, the negative mood of the poet. Look at the symbolism that I have mentioned: human complexity and animal simplicity, right? So it is us, the human beings, who are so complex, and we tend to segregate certain animals, plants, or birds into certain sections. Some we believe to be the harbinger of doom, and some we believe to be the symbols of blessing, of hope, of happiness. So herein too, the poet intended to highlight a very important symbol that is of human complexity and animal simplicity. A crow being a bird that represents darkness was the one that actually brought happiness in him with the help of the next element, the hemlock tree. Now, there are also certain themes here, very important themes that we need to discuss. Communication between nature and human. We see here how nature is communicating with the poet, as in the nature being a friend, philosopher, and guide to us at times. The second theme is of nature healing and helping with negative human emotions. The poet was undergoing negative human emotions, right? He was very pessimistic about the whole situation. But then it was nature. It was a crow, it was a hemlock tree, it was a dust of snow, which are very much a part of nature that helped to change his mood. The third theme here is the significance of small natural events. In our life, there are so many incidents that happen, so many incidents that we tend to think them to be so petty that we do not consider it to be important. But here the poet wants to highlight that the smallest of the smallest incident has some importance in our life. We just need to look into it. We just need to find its importance. Even the smallest of the small incidents can change our life. Now look at the message. That sometimes seemingly insignificant natural events do bring about change. That is what I was saying, the theme. Being outdoors in nature with all its unpredictability can benefit anyone, anywhere, at any time. The second message that the poet intends to establish is taking risks and trusting those that we mistrust. We mistrust a crow, we mistrust a hemlock tree. But then these were the two things that actually helped to change the mood of the poet. So this was the theme and the message. Now let us look at the different literary device that is present in the poem. First comes the alliteration. Now what is alliteration? Alliteration is repetition of the same consonant sound in the nearby words. Look at the line. Has given my heart, saved some part. H, S, these are consonant. And these words, these letters, has been repeated and its sound rather has been repeated. When this happens, it is called as alliteration. Next, we have is assonance. Assonance is the prominence of a vowel sound throughout a line. So alliteration, like I said, is the consonant sound. Assonance is exactly the same, but it represents the vowel sound. Look at the second line of the poem. Shook down on me. The letter O is constantly being repeated. The sound of O is prominent in this line. The third literary device that we have here is enjambment. Now, what is enjambment? Enjambment is the continuation of a sentence without a pause. And when I say without a pause, which means no comma, no question mark, no full stop, anywhere in between the poem, except with one full stop at the end. Now, if you take a careful look at the poem, you will see the whole poem consists of only one sentence from the first word to the last, and this is called enjambment. The rhyming scheme of the poem, as you can see, is AB, AB, CD, CD with alternative lines rhyming in the poem. So this is all for today. I hope you have understood the poem. Go through the poem carefully and post your queries regarding it. We'll get back to you in the next class that we have. Till then, have a wonderful day. Goodbye, children.